I got one question for you.
Are you ready?
Because if you're keeping up with Rise and Powers of X, you're probably wondering why the hell Mother Righteous is in a bubble. And if you're an Immortal X-Men fan, like I'm an Immortal X-Men fan, then you're probably asking yourself, what the hell happened to Sebastian Shaw and Celine? So...
I said, are you ready?
To find out what the hell Orbis Solaris been doing, and also find out what happened to Mystique. Yes, I said Mystique. My name is Doran, this is SCM Comics. We are continuing our coverage of the Fall of the House of X.
Let's get ready to...
We don't need all that, we're a family show. With X-Men Forever, #1. Our story starts off in 1899 London, where you have Mystique and you have Destiny, and they're taking in, I guess you can't really call it a classical concert because back then it was modern music. So they're taking in a concert. When Destiny, and only Destiny, can hear whistling, and it's getting louder and louder. And then all of a sudden she says she can see God as Enigma appears, and we see all the things that are happening to the X-Men as we speak. She saw way back then an Enigma whistling. He's probably whistling to the orchestra, but me, all I hear is, Andy Griffin. She pretty much falls, collapse. She says the whole thing broke her and it took her 6 months to build herself back up again. Raven kept asking her what was wrong, which she said even back then she knew if she shared it could be a mistake. So once she's able to get herself out of bed, the first thing she does is meet with our beloved Sinister. She pretty much tells him everything, that he is a clone, that he is one of 4, that the original Daniel Essex has pretty much become a living AI, and as soon as he achieves the minionship, that he's going to take it away from him. I mean, everything. But then out of nowhere, he starts bleeding from his eye and his mouth, and he falls over and he keeps saying, "You're a ghost. You're a ghost." So then Enigma appears and he's like, "I thought you might have saw me at the concert. I was taking it in. It's a great tune." He's like, "Why don't you spend the time taking in the best of London culture? Enigma might be the name of the concert, but that's my name now. And you shouldn't have told that variant anything." And Irene's like, "You're not going to kill me." So Enigma goes, "I will not let you meddle. I am outside of time, so I am fundamentally safe." As I was reading, I asked myself, I was like, if you're God, what do you need to be safe from? So he continues, "Nothing you do can affect me. I can crush you at any point." And Irene goes, "However, I'm still alive." Because you're not sure, are you? So Enigma goes, "Experimental data. I make a change, it shouldn't do anything. Maybe it will. I will not take any risks I don't need to. This is not the talk of a god." Just want to say that. He goes, "I protect the timeline. Far too easy for any of these variants to learn anything. And what I just did to that clone, I can do to anyone or everyone. That's the talk of a god. Stay away from me and I'll let you have a free run at Krakoa." And Irene goes, "The mutant city on the hill? So you need that too, huh?" And he does, because if you really think about it, if Krakoa doesn't happen, then none of the variants really have a chance to achieve dominionhood. So he goes, "Yes, I do. See, we must be on the same side too." And then she goes, "We're not on the same side. We're just merely going in the same direction." He goes, "You're an amusing little creature. I exist outside of time. I don't need to predict the future. I've been there. Do you want to know why Raven leaves you?" So then Raven appears and she's asking if Destiny's okay. Destiny's like, "Yeah, I'm okay." So Raven starts asking her what's wrong, what happened. And Destiny's like, "Look, you're gonna have to trust me. I can't tell you right now, but if it ever comes down to it, I will. But let's hope it never comes to that." So now we cut to London, but this is the present time. Well, not exactly the present time. This is a few weeks before the X-Men invasion of Earth. And we got Mother Righteous, and she is cussing up a storm. And Mother Righteous just got finished failing at her attempt to become a Dominion. See, somehow, some way she cloned herself, and it was her clone that's in the White House room that was doing everything that was in X-Men Red #18. Immortal X-Men #18. And she realizes that Nathaniel Essex, the original one that she thought was dead, was there, alive, and pretty much took the power away from her. And she's like, now he's all powerful, and I can't stand it. And her clone is more like a voodoo doll. So when Destiny kicked the bejesus out of her, she felt all that. So we did see Destiny kick the bejesus out of her once in X-Men Red #18, but now we see that she kept kicking her. And Destiny was like, you undid everything, you stupid, arrogant little. So X is like, I can't close Jean's wound. We need to get her back to Kieron Oasis, but ain't nobody listening to this dude because Destiny is still beating the hell out of Mother Righteous. So Hope half heard him and she goes, sure thing, Exodus, but first. So you know what she about to do. So Mother Righteous is like, please no. And Hope's like, don't whine. You know you deserve this. And Mother Righteous is like, I can help. I've lost. I've made my worst nightmare, the man that I married and went to the grave cursing, into a digital god. Of course I want to help you stop it. And Hope's like, but what can you do? She's like, I brought you here, so I know all the magic stuff. And besides, half of me is here, the other half's in the real world, so I can be like almost like a messenger. And I can find out about Mystique. She said that so Destiny will quit kicking her ass. So then the real world Mother Righteous is like, all right, clone, keep it going. I'll figure out a way to dissolve you and to leave them cursing my name. And all of a sudden, all she hears is, oh, honey, I don't think so. And on the next page, we see is Orbis Solaris and Dr. Stasis. Now, for those of you that read Fall of the House of X #3, you're probably like, Dr. Stasis is dead. Yes, remember, this takes place a few weeks before the whole invasion happened, so technically he's still alive, but not for long. So Orbis Solaris is like, you, my clone sister, will not achieve the Dominion. And then Dr. Stasis is like, especially you. A Dominion? Oh, darling Rebecca, do you really think yourself Victoria? I've met Queen Victoria. You're not Queen Victoria. So the Mother Rice is like, Orbis Stasis? No, how? What? How the damn hell did you find me? So the Dr. Stasis is like, shh, my darling. We continue this conversation once you're in the Orcus cell. Damn. Now that he's dead, they're actually starting to write him better, and I actually starting to like him a little bit. But don't tell anybody. So the Orbis Solaris is like, be calm, no high emotions, and he puts a force field around her. So the Orbis Solaris is like, to think one with such a high temperament could be a Dominion is an error. It takes one born of the coldness of space to reach that state. And Mother Righteous is like, you're right, I failed, but you have no idea what's coming. So then Dr. Stasis goes, well, good, you understand you failed, but I will succeed and you will be by my side, my love. Mother Righteous is like, you patronizing prat. I was hoping to save this one, but... And she puts a spell on Dr. Stasis. He turns around, shoots Orbis Solaris and goes, unhand my wife. So she starts running. They're like, they'll calm down soon enough. How the hell did he even find me or get in? They're not musicians. And she runs through this magical door. And all of a sudden, all she hears is, however, Selene the Magnificent is. So the Mother Righteous is like, oh hell, I got a lot of favors of calling on this one. The Mother Righteous uses a spell, and Selene goes, a trap spell. Very retro. Everybody used to use them back in the day until people found out about the loopholes. Then people stopped using them, but they haven't used it in so long that everybody forgot about the loopholes. Except me. Unlucky for them, lucky for me, unlucky for you. And Mother Righteous goes, no, no, no. And Selene goes, yes, yes, yes. And Mother Righteous is bombarded by all these magical arrows. So Selene's like, good try, but you're really showing your lack of experience here. Me, I've been doing this for a long time and significantly tighter outfits than this. Now, come here. So Mother Righteous grabs one of her floating bulbs and goes, escape now, I'll set you free, please. And then Mother Righteous disappears. So then Orbis Solaris and Dr. Stasis finally gather themselves and join Selene. Selene's like, she got away using one of her pet god spirits, but she's badly injured. She won't be getting too far. So the Mother Righteous is barely walking. She's like 3 alleys over. Useless god. No wonder the Proto-Kel stopped worshiping you. Mother Righteous is like, I gotta go. Plan. There's gotta be a way out. And all of a sudden all these knives start stabbing at her. And all of a sudden I hear is, I'm afraid not. So we say it's Professor Xavier and he goes, don't struggle. You can't move. These knives were designed for you. You're coming with us. Mother Righteous is like, us? Xavier, what are you talking about? He goes, you'll find out. Welcome to the X-Men. So Mother Righteous is like, I can't sense anything. Where are we? Professor Xavier is like, we're in the no place. It allows us to hide from the thing that you unleashed on us. We wanted to try to stop you before you made that horrible snake that you made, but we couldn't locate you. Not until you attempted to achieve the Dominion. So once we had your location, to get to you, we just fed it to Orcus. And Mother Isis is like, you set me up. I could have died. And Professor Xavier is like, hate to say this, but I believe I could have lived with that. Yeah, I know, you got a beard now and you're real scary, but how the hell are you even binding me down like you're not a musician? And all you hear in the background is cold iron, frozen especially for you, from Mysterium, the best anti-magic money can buy. And she goes, aren't you with Orcus now? And we see it's Sebastian Shaw, and he goes, don't be fucking naive. I'm only ever on my side, and you'll find out on my side doesn't forgive and doesn't forget, girl. Because Mother Isis did him dirty after the gala. I mean, dirty. Xavier contacted me and told me he had a plan to capture you. After you Welsh on me, I wanted in. Seems a good deal. I'll stick to it. Sticking to deals matter. Then he goes, make me forget about this, Xavier. You need to be safe. They could pull this from my mind. I will. Thank you, Shaw. Though your portrayal of Krakoa makes me surprised you would worry. Sebastian Shaw's like, grow up. You knew I was a rat when you pulled me on that sinking ship. Krakoa didn't fail because I betrayed you. I betrayed you because Krakoa failed. Now, destroy her and take away everything that made her proud. And Xavier's like, that's not our goal, but I do feel it will be a byproduct. So the Mother Isis is like, again with the plurals, like, what are you talking about? Who is we? And then all of a sudden this pod opens up and Doug comes out with a sinister diamond on his forehead. And he goes, I'm back. And Xavier's like, yes, all of the sinister genetics has been purged from my body. Nathaniel, you are gone forever. So he pretty much explained how Doug is in a hibernated Krakoa, which happened right before the gala, because Krakoa had a sense of what was going to happen. So Sinister was able to clone Doug and also clone his mutant ability to be able to talk to anything. And he transferred his consciousness that's also trapped in Krakoa to the new Sinister Doug now. And now he got rid of that body that's in there, so he gone. So Sinister Doug wants to kill Mother Isis, which everybody does. So he goes to her and he's like, you need to explain very quickly why we need to keep you. And she goes, well, for starters, I can let you know where the missing mutants are. And Professor Xavier's like, they're alive. And he just falls on his knees because he's just so thankful, because if you were keeping up with Immortal X-Men at that time, he went into a deep depression. I mean, deep depression that lasted for issues. I mean, he really wasn't out of it right now, but I feel like this here will pull him completely out of it. So he's like, can we speak to him? And then we cut to the White Hot Room where the Atlantic side of Krakoa is. So the clone Mother Isis in the White Hot Room's like, the other me got captured by Xavier. He wants to talk. And Hope goes, at last. Okay, download everything. We're here, Atlantic Krakoa, Phoenix dying, Jean's bleeding, weirdly, and then Destiny goes, no. What happened to my wife? So then the real Mother Isis goes, Destiny wants to know about Mystique. And Professor Xavier goes, I'll try to find her. She has a slippery mind. It could be difficult, but how curious. It wasn't. She's on Krakoa. So Professor Xavier starts talking to Raven and goes, Raven, Irene sends word. And she goes, shut up. I'm not speaking to you and I'm not speaking to her. So then the clone Mother Isis goes, she's alive, but she doesn't want to talk to you. Destiny goes, what, why? And she goes, oh no, she read the book. You see, Destiny saw all these futures happening, and she decided to let Sins of Sinister happen. So our beloved Sinister do his thing for 1,000 years, because that's the one future where Raven lived the longest. So, and she wrote it down, and now Raven knows about it. And who gave Raven that book? It was Mother Isis. So if Destiny finds out, that ass whooping's going to start all over again. So the rest of this book pretty much shows how Professor Xavier's team has come together in No Place X, how he grabbed Rachel Summers and Rasputin 4. Rasputin 4 wants to kill Mother Isis, because again, everybody wants to kill Mother Isis. So pretty much this book helps fills in all the plot holes that was in Immortal X-Men and that is currently in the Rise and Powers of X. And if you're reading Rise of Powers of X, then you know that Professor Xavier is pretty much going to kill Myra, and he didn't tell Rachel about it. And even Sinister is like, you're not telling her the whole truth, and she's going to be pretty pissed about that. Professor Xavier's like, she will, but you know what? As long as we live, I can live with that. So after I read this comic, I immediately told myself I need to do an apology to you guys. Because you were telling me, hey, what Professor X is doing, he probably has to do it, because of the Dominion and everything else and everything that's on the line. And, I'm like Rachel in this, I'm on my moral high horse. I'm like, why is he doing this? And so on and so forth. And he can't do this and he can't come back from this. And after reading this book, I'm like, all right, yeah, maybe you guys are right. But I'm still probably on my moral high horse. My name is Dorian. This is SCM Comics. We are continuing our coverage of Fall House of X with X-Men Forever #2. So our story starts off in a white hot room where half of Krakoa sits. And you got Mother Righteous Doppelganger talking big shit to Destiny, Exodus, and Hope. It's pretty much Mother Righteous talking through her doppelganger. And she goes, Sinister's dead, Xavier murdered Rachel, Xavier freed me to go over Rasputin 4, who's also dead, and I figured out how to dissolve this doppelganger safely, so bye-bye losers, see you. Then all of a sudden doppelganger goes, hello, that I'm speaking through you means Mother Righteous attempted to betray us. And then Destiny goes, the phrasing's familiar and annoying. Xavier, yes, those two can't stand each other. I don't have much time. I'm just here to cross your T's and dot your I's with this plan. Bring back Rachel. She's going to be furious, and rightfully so. Give her whatever she needs to help Jean. And also tell her that I'm sorry. Her team helped me see that I need to be on this road. And it hopes like, you're really going to do it. And Xavier's like, I don't believe we have a choice. I must. And then it's dissolving, so he's like, the frontal lobe is deteriorating, making it difficult to think. So Destiny's like, Xavier, our deal. And it hopes like, our deal? And Xavier is like, impossible to feel right now, I'm just a fragment. Besides, I need you clear-headed. The universe needs you clear-headed. And I fear you need to be clear-headed to survive Raven. Now, quickly before this thing dissolves, I need you to bring back all the X-Men that Orchis has killed. Bring them back and lead them. Someone has to. My time is past. So the 5 get to it and bring back everybody, which looks like Rasputin 4 was the last one. And Rachel goes, how can we be out of time when we're literally outside of time? And then Destiny's like, no, not quite. We still need to bring back one more. And Exodus goes, absolutely not. Destiny's like, he's one of us. Besides, all this that we have is pretty much his doing. And Exodus goes, yeah, we're hiding from a blasphemous pretender god that is definitely his doing. And then Destiny's like, consider this. If we bring him back down the road, perhaps you can kill him again. And Exodus laughs. Then the host like, you made Exodus laughs. Yeah, okay, gang, one last time. So the Exodus is like, this is against scripture. The least to be last, save the best for last. And we see it's our favorite ever-loving Sinister. And he goes, I'm alive. Why? And then Destiny's like, I told you, Sinister. We are mutants. We must be on the same side. No matter how much all the awful things inside of us try to make us act otherwise. So then Destiny's like, alright, here's what's happening on Earth. Orchis is beaten, but the AIs have made their move, and they always been a real true threat. We know that from the studies of the Myra engine. And then Sinister's like, yeah, I would have known sooner, but Enigma was messing with my mind. And speaking of Enigma, he's aiding the AIs, which is another problem, because whatever he does is unpredictable. Now, the only advantage that we have is he doesn't know what we're planning right now, but that's not likely going to last. And Xavier is joining the AIs for 2 purposes. Firstly, to keep mutants alive. The AIs are about to strike in a way to kill us all. As he helps them out, mutants will be spared and promised a pretty cage. But eventually, Xavier is going to be used to kill humans. Secondly, and all of a sudden somebody goes, can we stick with firstly for a minute? And then we see it's Rachel. Me and her about the same mind. She goes, you knew? How can you do this? And then Exodus goes, the Quiet Council of the Exile recognizes Rachel Summers. And then Sinister brings up a point that I brung up in Dead X-Men #4. He goes, well, I count 3 supervillains in this room, 2 of whom are mutant supremacists, and the other thinks mutants are highly desired collectibles. He's talking about himself. And then Rachel goes, and you hope? And she goes, I'm not a hero, I'm a soldier. And this is war, and there's always going to be casualties. And for once, the humans are going to share in the cost. And Rachel's like, my team convinced Xavier not to throw away Krakoa by killing Myra. X is like, they did. They convinced him that the dream of Krakoa was too important. So Xavier's dream is Xavier's dreams no more. The dream is the dream. Xavier is Xavier, and Xavier is gone. He is monitoring himself for the dream, for a chance at a new Krakoa, and he won't be alone in that. So the Hope's like, this is, and X's cuts her off. What would you do to prevent the timeline where you were whipped like a dog and made to hunt your peers? He's talking about Days of Future Past. Would you do what Xavier's doing? Would you go as far as Bishop did? Talking about the Summers Rebellion. What are your limits, girl? So once Exodus said that, I was like, all right, I guess he has a point. So then Rachel's like, okay, what now? So then Hope's like, we need to get back to Earth because Krakoa's under attack. We need to bring back all the X-Men and beat the cavalry. But you know your job. You know why Xavier pulled that trigger. So then Rachel's like, I need to be here for the Phoenix plan. So then Hope's like, what's up with the deal? What's the deal? So Destiny's like, it's a long story. The short of it is that Nightcrawler is mine and Raven's child. So the Hope's like, Kurt is your kid? Wow. And how? And how is Xavier involved in this? What is he? And then Destiny's like, this is family business. I'm not going to tell you before I tell Raven. So then Rachel's like, hey, I'm happy for you. My mom died shortly after I was born, and Cable is my father in every way that's important, but I never knew who the person actually did the deed was. So the Exodus starts talking about the Holy Spirit being in the womb, and then Hope cuts him off and goes, not the time. So then the other mutants that are there that really don't have useful fighting powers are overhearing this, and they're like, well, they're going home. What about us? So then we cut to Rachel and Jean, and Rachel's like, come on, Mom, we got to do this together. And Jean's still chanting, now and forever. So the Prodigy walks in and goes, you guys are trying to bring back the Phoenix? That's smart because the minions are weak against the Phoenix. So Rachel's like, no offense, but right now I've had enough of smart. Right now we need to have some faith. So the Prodigy's like, okay, what's your big-hearted, no-brain plan then? So she pushes him into Krakoa, and like the vines grab him, and she goes, you had the M-Crown crystal in you, which is the nexus of all reality. That means you downloaded all the different lives of the Phoenix and all the different multiverses. And now, Krakoa has that knowledge. So in a nutshell, they pretty much want to figure out a way to kill the Phoenix. Jean is technically dead. If the Phoenix dies, that's a double negative. Double negative is equal to a positive, which is the paradox, which is infinite life, which is the Phoenix. And then Rachel's like, and I wish I could be around to see it, but unfortunately, I gotta go back to Earth and kick some ass. So Exodus is talking to Kafka. Kafka's like, you guys are leaving us and you're leaving the unimportant mutants here. Exodus is like, no, you guys are the most important. You are Krakoa, and this is why I'm doing this, for Krakoa. So then Kafka's like, you better remember us. And Exodus is like, I always will. And Kafka's like, you better. So Sinister is pretty much like, I still have Doug Ramsey's power and I've been talking to Krakoa. The two islands are still linked to each other, so we can use that to pretty much get from one place to another. Only issue is once I do this, it's pretty much going to deplete the island that's here in the White Hot Room. So Sinister pours whatever he needs to pour into Krakoa. All these plants start grabbing everybody. They put them in different pods. There's a blast, and then they're gone. So then Kafka's like, hold on, time out. You're still here. Why didn't you go? And then Hope's like, because I got Messiah to do. So the Hope walks out to the funeral pyre and goes, what fire can hurt Jean? And she goes, Jean's. So the little flame comes out of her hand. Then the funeral pyre goes up in flames. All of a sudden, the Phoenix starts screaming, no. So then Jean's like, can you hear me, Hope? And she goes, I can. What's wrong? She goes, I feel clear-headed. I was fragmented for a second, but I'm fine. And I am what I am. However, the Phoenix is scared. It's so scared. It's died before, but never ended. It's fighting it. Can you help? She goes, uh-huh. This book simultaneously made me mad, and I was happy at the same damn time. It's a great story. I just don't like the direction that they're going in when they're trying to end this whole Krakoan era. Jed McKay and Ryan Stegman are the ones who are taking over once this whole thing is wrapped up and done. Are you guys the ones who are doing this or calling these shots that are happening right now? You know what? We'll talk about this at the end. My name is Dorian. This is SCM Comics. We are continuing our coverage of the Fall House of X with X-Men Forever #3. So the story starts off with Cypher, the real Cypher, not the Sinister clone Cypher. See, the real Cypher has been missing for a long time. I believe Krakoa snatched him up in Immortal X-Men #13, which, to give you kind of real-time perspective, that was like the summer of 2023. You see, Krakoa sensed something was coming, so he wanted to keep safe the only person that can really talk to him. So he snatched him up, put him in hibernation, and then all the craziness happened. So he fills him in on Orcus. Well, technically he already knew about Orcus, but he fills him in on what happened at the Hellfire Gala, and then the war that was going on as far as that goes, and then how Orcus and all the humans are pretty much have been disposed of, but now they're going to war with the AI. So fills him in on everything. So Sam's like, are we safe? And the Krakoa lets him out, and he goes, not exactly. As we see the war going on the Pacific side of Krakoa. So now we cut to Shaw Industries, where Sebastian Shaw is walking with his assistant. And he goes, Emma, you listening? I'm thinking of you in your underwear right now. And it was pretty much to get her attention. And she's so used to it, she goes, Shaw, what do you want? I'm busy right now. He goes, firstly, I think my assistant's an AI. She's been upgraded, so she might be able to detect mental detection. And sure enough, her left arm turns into a gun and she goes, unclear, telepathic contact detected. So as he is getting shot, he's explaining how he never truly trusted the AIs. So he paid some hacker to make like a backdoor program that he installed in the Sentinels that work regarding Krakoa. So all they gotta do is say some kind of binary phrase and it'll shut down. So he's like, I'm thinking it now. Pass it along to Doug. Now, I was reading this. I'm like, hold on, time out. You were there when Doug got swallowed. How you know that Doug is even out? But, you know, semantics. So then we cut back to the island, and Sinister is like, guns, guns, and more guns, fresh off the vine. He's like taking them from like a plant that's growing on Krakoa. I'm like, what? Now you're gonna ask. But this thing's like, doesn't matter. I'm back in the time stream. I can see the future again. There's no way we can win. So Exodus comes down and he's like, if you keep talking that mess, I'll destroy you myself. And by the way, this dude said I couldn't say Exodus. It was about 1.5 years ago and I probably was saying it wrong, but hey, I've improved. There you go. So back to the story. So Emma telepathically passes the binary phrase to Doug. Now, for those of you guys that don't know who Doug Ramsey is, who is Cypher, he can speak any language. Any language. Even alien, and also to binary, which is pretty much talking to computers, or in this case, Sentinels. So then Doug gets the Sentinel's attention and he says the phrase and nothing happens. So then Exodus is like, you know what, I think Shaw's playing for fools. Let me go ahead. And then Doug's like, hold on, wait a minute, my bad. Let me say it again. And he says it again, and then the Sentinels just shut down. And then he's like, yeah, I mispronounced one of the O's. Zeros, I meant to say zero, not a O, a zero. So then Exodus wastes no time and knocks the hell out one of the Sentinels. Finally, we see Destiny. She has a gun. She's firing. Doug's like, look, I think we're going to win this one. And then Destiny's like, winning a fight's one thing. Winning a war is something totally different. So then we cut back to Shaw Industries, and Shaw is running for his life. He's running to a vault, trying to get away from his assistant AI. And Emma's like, well, that worked. I appreciate it. And then Shaw's like, oh, I know it did. Also, too, I'm kind of pissed because you went to Fist to hold your money instead of coming to me. And Emma's like, but I thought you betrayed us. And he goes, oh, no, I did. I betrayed you guys. But I'm a smart businessman. I like to keep my options open. As he is going to his vault and he has a serum to give him back his mutant powers. So some of you guys are probably sitting there like, what do you mean get his powers back? One of his conditions when he first betrayed Krakoa was that he also had to give up his mutant powers, which he did. But like he said, he's a smart businessman. He always had a plan to get him back just in case. So, and this is just in case. Now we cut to the White Hot Room. You got Hope, who's chasing after the Phoenix, and good luck catching that. And you got Jean that's talking to Hope telepathically. Either the Phoenix is in Jean is in the Phoenix. It looks like right now Jean's in the Phoenix. Anyway, Jean is keeping tabs on the Phoenix, and the Phoenix is scared and doesn't want to, I guess, be destroyed or die. And then Hope is like, well, this was Rachel's plan, and she thought it was going to be one step, but it looks like it's going to be multiple steps. I'm going to need something. So she goes to the mutants that got left behind that's still on the Atlantic side of Krakoa that's in the White Hot Room. And it's like, okay, I need you guys to help me out. pretty much she starts tapping on the wood or the roots of Krakoa, and she's putting in like a SOS or a Morse code so she can talk to the Pacific side of Krakoa. And who just happens to receive that SOS? It's Cypher. Like, a lot of these things are going down because Cypher is out of Krakoa, which Krakoa just spit him out. So again, semantics. So Cypher tells Rachel pretty much talks to Emma, says we need Manifold. Manifold pops up like that and says, hey, what's up? Rachel fills him in on what's going on, and then Destiny pops up and was like, hey, can you get Nightcrawler? So all of a sudden Nightcrawler pops up, and then she goes, I'm sorry, and then all of a sudden all you hear is mother. It's Mystique. So Mystique came out that portal busting shots. I mean, Mystique is the closest thing to a gangster you're gonna ever meet in Marvel Comics. I mean, she don't give two shits who you are. She will shoot you on sight if you piss her off. So she's like, you knew. You wrote it down in code in that stupid book of yours. So she goes, I got a prophecy for you. I'm gonna punch holes in that stupid little, and then Kurt comes out of nowhere and uses his powers and takes away Mystique's guns from her. So Kurt's like, this is not the family reunion I pictured. Speak fast, Irene, and I'll try to stop her from killing you. So now I'll try to break everything down. Try. This was explained way back when. It's not too long ago, but unfortunately we didn't cover on the channel because there's too many things to cover in X-Men. There's too many X-books. Too many. But I believe this story was like Origins of Nightcrawler, I think. Don't quote me on it, but I think that's what it was. And in a nutshell, Destiny saw a reality where Azazel pretty much takes over and kills like a whole bunch of the superheroes. So to try to prevent that, her Mystique had Nightcrawler. Mystique can pretty much turn into a man and have all the working parts of a man. Got Destiny pregnant. Destiny had Nightcrawler, and then she had Professor Xavier pretty much wipe the memory of Nightcrawler from her and Mystique. So that's why we've been going for years now not knowing that Destiny was Nightcrawler's mom. Like, for some reason we always thought that Mystique was Nightcrawler's mother, but actually Mystique's Nightcrawler's father. And the reason why she had Mystique's memory wiped is because somehow, some way, if she knew, then that would have resulted her in dying. Like, this is what Destiny does. The whole reason why Sense of Sinister happened is because that's the timeline that Mystique lived the longest. So, like, Destiny's always doing this to Mystique, and Mystique can't stand it. So Mystique wants to know where Professor Xavier is at so he can put the memories back in her head. Destiny doesn't want to tell her. Mystique's like, you know what? Forget you. I'll find it myself. And pretty much storms off. Destiny's like, wait, hold on, you don't understand. And then Kurtz is standing there, and Exodus is like, I'm sorry, Kurt, but you gotta come with us now. So pretty much they want Manifold to use his powers to like open up a wormhole to the White Hot Room, which is difficult for him because the White Hot Room is outside of space and time. So it's not just like teleporting from one place to the universe to the other. It's a little bit more difficult, and it's a lot more dangerous to teleport there, but he's going to try. Now the reason they're doing this is because they want to give Nightcrawler's sword to Hope, and then Exodus asks if he can go ahead and take that sword to Hope, you know, because he wants to see Hope one more time. And Nightcrawler's like, dude, you ain't say nothing but a word. So now Exodus and Hope are kind of like in the wormhole. Exodus is like, hey, let someone else do this. Just come with me. And Hope's like, don't make it as hard than what it already is. Just please give me the sword. Besides, finally doing Messiah stuff. So Exodus hands her the sword, and he goes, is there anything else? And she goes, my dad, tell him he was always there for me. I never knew my parents, but he was always there. So then out of nowhere, Cable shows up, and she goes, I knew he'd come to say goodbye. He waves, and she goes, I love you. And then the wormhole closes. So she starts talking to the sword because it's alive, and then the sword's like, can't get nothing past you, lass. I'm David Holler. I'm Legion. I'm like, what in the hell? This dude disappeared a long time ago. A good year ago. It was right after Sense of Sinister. And he disappeared, I guess, in plain sight because he's been Nightcrawler's sword ever since. So Hope's like, swords are more Exodus speed. Can you transfer into something that I can use? And he's like, I got you. And transforms into this big ass gun. And she goes, perfect. Now, for those of you who don't know who Legion is, he is Professor Xavier's son, and he has multiple personalities, and all the personalities have mutant abilities. A lot of them are like Omega level when it comes to their power. So you have an Omega level mutant wielding another Omega level mutant as a weapon. Yeah, this might be able to take down the Phoenix. So Jean's talking to Hope, and she's like, look, I might be able to slow down the Phoenix, but it's gonna be up to you to actually do what you need to do. And then Legion's like, you look a bit nervous, and Hope's like, nah, I'm fine. I got a big huge gun and I'm hunting down a big dumb bird. Just call me daddy's girl. So now this book ends with Enigma talking to the other Dominions, and pretty much is like, yeah, they're trying to bring back the Phoenix, and they're doing it in the White Hot Room, which unfortunately we have no access to. But there's more than one way to skin a cat. And then we cut to Alaska. See, Hope was born in Alaska, and we see this woman. She's got like dirt in her face. She's probably a coal miner. This is Hope's mother, and she's like, I'm not pregnant. And all of a sudden we see Enigma, and he goes, you're not yet. But let's talk about that. Now, normally this is where I would end the video. Like, it's done, over with. You know, you guys can move on with your day. But come on, man. I know you're not going to Matthew Malloy Hope. Like, please tell me you're not going to do that. For those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, Matthew Malloy, it was a one-shot comic. Eventually we're going to cover on the channel, but I think Rob covered it twice. Matthew Malloy was this super overpowered mutant. All right, long story short, Professor Xavier got killed by Scott, and when he died, he pretty much met this mutant way back in the day that was so powerful, he was like, hey, nothing I can do about this. And he put a mental block so that he would never be able to access his power. Well, once Professor Xavier died, those mental blocks went bye-bye. And he was a whole problem. I mean, a whole problem. Like, no Galactus and Gore the God Butcher ain't got nothing on this dude. I mean, they blew him up with nukes, and he just sprung himself back. Like, he was so powerful that they had to pretty much go back in time and make sure his parents never met. That's how they beat this dude. And I hope they don't do this to Hope. Like, it's bad enough you about to put Professor Xavier, he's about to be Prisoner X somewhere, and we're probably not going to hear from him until we start the next X run or something like that. But now you're going to get rid of Hope. Like, don't do this. Don't get rid of Hope. Please, don't get rid of Hope. Love Hope. Don't get rid of her. Please. So even though Jean hasn't done anything really since the Hellfire Gala, and she seems like a prop ever since they brought back the Phoenix, and this, Jean is Jean. And Jean ain't nobody to mess with. And even though they are giving a kibosh to this whole Krakoan age, and they are giving a kibosh to it, you still get a quiet council at the end, which I thought was pretty cool. My name is Dorian, this is SCM Comics. We are continuing our coverage of the Fall House of X, and we are concluding our coverage of X-Men Forever with number 4. So our story starts off ironically where the old Quiet Council used to be, on the Pacific side of Krakoa. We got Destiny, who's still saying that now that she's out of the White Hot Room, she can see all the different scenarios, and every last one of them, Enigma wins. And of all people to come to be the voice of reason, we got our beloved Sinister. And he goes, let me tell you a little story. I once constructed a model that could predict all the actions of mutant kind, and it did pretty well, until the Phoenix arrived and burned my lovely city to the ground. He pretty much said all that to say that if they could bring back the Phoenix, nobody can predict the Phoenix, including Enigma. But then she brings up that even if that's the case, Raven dies in every scenario. So Sinister's pretty much like, you know, you're giving yourself some PTSD when it comes to these Raven predictions. And then he's like, I normally wouldn't tell you this, but what the hell. When it comes to his Myra engine data, he used it to study the predictions of Raven, and he pretty much comes to the conclusion that because of Destiny's love for Raven, that she is drawn to all the predictions that pretty much result in her death, and that her math might not be math. So Destiny's like, so you're saying love is throwing off my predictions? And he goes, yes, it's a weakness, but I know a guy that can help with that. But he's a big blue arsehole. I can't even say it. He went fully English on that one. I mean, English. Whew. Drew McIntyre, can you help me out?
You've worked your arse off for years.
I can say ass. I can't say what he said. And he pretty much said all that to say that he wouldn't recommend the guy. And I'm just thinking to myself, he's talking about Apocalypse, maybe he's talking about Beast, even though Destiny knows both of those people. Like, now I want to know who the hell he's talking about. Please let me know in the comments if you think you know who the hell he's talking about. But Destiny is still on this death and destruction thing, and there's no hope. And then Sinister Primus goes, I remember something this canny old broad told me once. There is no destiny. I'm pretty sure he's talking about her, because Destiny's been around for a long time. So then we cut to Destiny talking to Raven. Raven's in her gun closet, and there are a bunch of guns in there. And Destiny's pretty much like, no matter what happens, I trust you. And Raven's like, it's too late. I don't trust you. And Destiny's pretty much like, even if you hate me, it doesn't matter. I still trust you. And what we have is eternal. And then there's a moment of silence, and the Raven's like, all right then, let's go save our family. So then we cut to the white hot room, and Jean is pretty much like, the Phoenix is scared and angry. And she's like, Hope, can you do this? And then Hope's like, Jean, let's talk mutant circuits. I am an Omega level manipulator, and Legion, who probably said that in a Scottish accent, I am a genuine Omega level manifester. And then Hope goes, we can do anything. That is so funny. Somebody said the same thing last week, way before this comic book even came out. I wonder who that person was. You have an Omega level mutant wielding another Omega level mutant as a weapon. Yeah, this might be able to take down the Phoenix. So just in case you was wondering, you rocking with one of the best. I wouldn't say that. What are you talking about? You got Rob from Comic Explained, you got Benny from Comic Historian, you got Aries from Variant Comics, you got Sal from Comic Pop, you got Dose Spill Comics, you got Sasha from Casley Comics. Yeah, that's a lot of people. You got Ernie from Blurred Without Fear. You got Owen Loves Comics, he's 10 times better than you. You got Comic Book Harold, you got Perch, you got anybody from Top 10 Nerd, and some of them don't even know about comics. Okay, I get it. I'm sorry. Now can we go back to the video, please? So then Jean's like, I wasn't talking about killing it. And as soon as he said that, Hope sends a shot right through the Phoenix's neck. Now you gave the Phoenix anger target. Good luck. So these two aren't even worried. Actually, they're more worried about impressing their fathers. Legion's talking about Charles, and he wishes that Charles could see him right now, but we all know what Charles is doing. And then Hope's like, yeah, Cable will be real proud right now. And then Legion brings up, but what about the other guy, the guy that wasn't there? And Hope's like, I don't really care about that guy. He didn't stick around, so why should I care? We're about to care here in a minute. So now we cut to Anchorage, Alaska, where you got Enigma, who's talking to Hope's mom. And one thing I do like about Enigma, he doesn't sugarcoat a damn thing. He pretty much tells her, in 9 months, you're going to be dead. You're going to be recovering from labor when men with flamethrowers are going to arrive. And you will be murdered along with everybody else in the hospital of fear of your child. You're going to die in significant pain. And I can save you from that. And if you couldn't tell this was Hope's mom, you could after she says this. She goes, yeah, Mr. Weird Eyes, why don't you go off to New York City? And he doesn't even allow her to finish the word city, where he's like, and this is how it's going to feel. So after she picks herself up, she goes, what are you suggesting? So Hope is all of a sudden in pain, and he's pretty much telling Hope's mom about the Dominion and how it kind of works, but he's breaking it down in like simplest terms. So Jane's pretty much like, hey, what's going on? You need to kill the Phoenix. And all of a sudden, all you hear is Enigma goes, I simply need to be Hope's father. So then Jean takes control of the Phoenix for a second, and she stresses, only for a second. She looks at Hope, and she goes, oh no, I gotta take care of this. As you see a crown on Hope's forehead. Now we switch to the Orchis base where Professor X is being held. You got some Orchis agents that's running into a cell, and all of a sudden there's a big explosion. The other ones are getting shot to hell, so you know who's doing that. And all you hear is, now you bastard, let me love my son. It's Mystique and Destiny. So Professor Xavier's like, I don't remember doing that, but I probably left a simple lock. Just give me a second. Let me figure this out. And he goes, okay, I got it. Done. And then they instantly remember everything. So as soon as that happens, 3 Nimrods appears, and Destiny sounds like Kevin Hart.
Oh, not like this. Not like this.
So one of the Nimrods snatches up Mystique, and Destiny is like, oh, I was right. You know, he hears Exodus go, wrong. Have faith. Hold still. And Mystique disappears from Nimrod's hands. So then this Nimrod sounds like the simpleton Nimrod. He goes, teleporters spoil all my squashy fun. So Professor Xavier's like, hey, look, I'm not upset about what happens. I'm really not. but we need to focus. What else do you need me to do? So now we go back to Anchorage, and Jean pops up out of nowhere and goes, Lois, you can't do this. You don't understand. She goes, hell, I finally understand. Your daughter is going to save mutant kind, but she doesn't just stop there. She saves everyone. That dude is a monster. And he pretty much goes into a spill how pretty much she says, we're all monsters, Jean. Like, all we're going to do is care about the ones we love and then screw everyone else, which he's not wrong, but he's also not right. And then Lois goes, you know what? The fact that you think like that shows me exactly who you are. So then Lois looks at Jean and goes, so what she's like? And Jean's like, she's fearsome, she swears a lot, she's a lot like you, and she looks like you too. She's called Hope. And then Lois goes, oh yeah, sounds about right. What's having a kid but an act of hope, right? So now Enigma's pissed. He's like, you can't believe her. She is selling you some bullcrap. Remember how that fire felt? And he does his little trick again. And this explains exactly where Hope got her toughness from. She goes, I'm a firefighter. I run into blazing buildings. I know eventually I'm going to get burned, so f*** off. So then Enigma just disappears. And then Hope's mom goes, alright, I'm not getting in bed with you. And Jean goes, it's not necessary. So before Jean leaves, she pretty much puts some of the Phoenix into Hope's mom. I don't know how much of the Phoenix, but she does put some of it. And then she pretty much disappears. So then we cut back to the white hot room. The crown is off of Hope's forehead. Legion's like, oh, you're back. That's good, because here comes the big bird. She picks up Legion and pretty much shoots at it. There's a huge explosion, and Hope and Legion are pretty much caught up into it. Hope's laying on the ground, and then Jean appears. So out of nowhere, fire comes out of Hope, and then a little Phoenix appears and flies to Jean. And this is why Enigma won't be able to see this coming, because this Phoenix is born from mutant / human. So it's going to act a tad bit differently. So now we go back to the Pacific side of Krakoa. The war's still going on. Exodus shows up with Destiny and Mystique. Destiny runs up to Nightcrawler and is like, I'm sorry. And all of a sudden Nightcrawler's sword comes back, and then Destiny's like, Hope's dead. So you know Exodus starts to lose it. He goes, no! And he starts going into his Messiah rant, because Exodus is very, very religious. Like, Nightcrawler and Exodus are probably the two most religious mutants you're going to ever meet. And Exodus looks at Hope like he would look at Jesus Christ. And Jesus Christ sacrificed himself. Hope did the same thing. But pretty much he accepts what happened, even though he is upset about it. So now we cut back to the Atlantic side of Krakoa that's still in the white hot room, and the mutants got left back there are pretty much talking amongst themselves, kind of arguing and kind of just asking questions. And if you notice, you see Proteus, Goldball, Elixir, and Tempest there. That's 4 to 5, and then Hope was the 5th one, and she's dead. So that just pretty much tells you that this whole resurrection thing is done and over with. So like I said, they're arguing amongst each other, and then Casca, of all people, just gets up and goes, shut the f*** up. He goes, we have to be better than this. We have no rules, no leaders, no heroes. We're in charge. That means we're the Quiet Council. And the reason why we're the Quiet Council is that we have to listen. And he pretty much goes, first, we need to figure out this. And then we need to figure out that. And that's where pretty much the story ends. So now I have a question for you guys. For one, if you answer this question, I know you watched the whole video. And then for two, now that we know that they're not getting rid of Krakoa completely, it's just going to be in the white hot room with all these other mutants, when are they going to write these mutants into the new story? Or are they going to write them into the new story? You know, like, will they use them on this run, or will it be the next run after that they use them? Please let me know in the comments.